Welcome back to Unsupported Claims. This week we have yet another critic making a claim, but is it supported? I don't know. Pastor Trenton, I'm going to play a video clip for you, and then let's see what you have to say about it, okay?
Ezekiel 26:14, God says he's going to send someone to destroy the city of Tyre. He's going to make it a bare rock, and it will never be rebuilt. It's very clear, never be rebuilt. So let's see what Tyre looks like today. Ooh, looks kind of rebuilt to me.
Many critics have claimed that Ezekiel 26:14 is an example of unfulfilled prophecy. But is that true? Well, first, it must be noted that in verse 3, it is written, "I will bring up many nations against you as the sea brings up its waves." And so this describes waves of continuous attacks. And verse 4 says, "They will destroy the walls of Tyre." And that is exactly what happened, as is evident by archaeology. King Nebuchadnezzar besieged Tyre for 13 years, from 585 to 572 BC, just as the historian Josephus recorded. And then in 332 BC, Alexander the Great utterly destroyed Tyre. And in alignment with the many nations prophecy, Alexander the Great had the help of 80 ships from Persia, 120 from Cyprus, in addition to soldiers from other nations. And when Alexander the Great conquered Tyre, he did so by building a 2,600-foot causeway from the mainland out to the island fortress, thus fulfilling the prophecy of verse 12 that they would break down your walls, destroy your pleasant houses, throw your stones and your timbers and your debris into the water. And these materials came from the destruction of the city's settlements on the mainland, which is verses 6 and 8. Now, Tyre was rebuilt and reconquered several times after Alexander the Great, so the complete fulfillment of this prophecy did not come immediately. But then again, not many prophecies in the Bible did come immediately. The modern, modest city of Tyre exists around the ancient ruins of Tyre. So it's a shame you didn't zoom in on your Google Earth map to where the ruins are located. If you had, you would have seen that there is still a very large area which has never been rebuilt upon, even though some have tried. Archaeological photographs of the ancient site show ruins from ancient Tyre scattered over many acres of land. No city has been rebuilt over these ruins, thus fulfilling prophecy. Further, in order to understand the prophecy of Ezekiel 26 against Tyre, you need to understand who Tyre was at that time and what that meant for that city. Tyre was prideful, arrogant, and boastful. They rejoiced when Jerusalem fell. And God doesn't like it when you rejoice when your enemy falls. In fact, in Ezekiel 28, chapter 28, it's a prophecy against the king of Tyre. However, this specific prophecy against the king of Tyre, it also explained the depth beyond the surface about God being against Satan and his pride, and the children of Satan and their pride. In the beginning, God called Satan good because he was a creation of God. And Ezekiel 28:15 is an allusion to the pre-fall condition of Genesis 1 and 2. And just like Satan and some fallen angels, pride comes before the fall. And thus, it is likened to the fall and the curse on Satan in Genesis 3, 1 to 15. It is written in Ezekiel 28:15, "You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you." Now, of course, the obvious context of this verse, it's in reference to the actual historical king of Tyre. But the depth beyond the surface, it references Satan as the real king of pride and evil. Likewise, Isaiah 14, 12 to 15 has an immediate surface context, yet also has a deeper meaning as well. It would not be uncommon for Hebrew prophetic speech to pass from descriptions of human events to descriptions of heavenly events that are parallel to them, and that the earthly events picture in a limited way. So for example, Psalm 45, which moves from a description of an earthly king to a description of a divine Messiah who is the one true king. And finally, you need to understand the language within the Bible. Now take, for example, another apparent contradiction that critics often claim, Joshua 10:40 declares Joshua utterly destroyed every person in Debir. However, only a short time later, when the people occupied the land they had conquered, Judges 1:28 says Israel did not completely drive them out, but put the Canaanites under tribute. So, if they had been utterly destroyed, how could there still be some there a few years later, right? Okay, Joshua conquered the land as a whole, even if he didn't destroy every part of it. So stating that they utterly destroyed all that breathed is either a figure of speech for his general victory or a hyperbole for his complete success. However, even if it's understood more literally, it is qualified by the phrase, left none remaining, which is still in Joshua 10:40. This says nothing about those who fled only to return after Joshua's armies turned northward to fight other battles. No doubt, in this interim, many of the Canaanites returned to occupy their homes and be a continual thorn in Israel's flesh. Likewise, when this prophecy of Ezekiel 26 says that Tyre will never be rebuilt, it's saying that the city would never again be rebuilt in order to ever become the prideful, arrogant, boastful, successful city that it once was. And this is true still to this day. In fact, the archaeological ruins of Tyre still stand today as a reminder. They had been utterly destroyed by many nations. And again, no city has been rebuilt over these ruins. Therefore, prophecy was fulfilled. Back to you, Jim.
Well, there you have it. It really is just a lack of research. Well, see you next week on Unsupported Claims.